The ratings are in, and Brian Stelter's reliable sources on CNN hits rock bottom in key demo. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the guy, but I think he's basically become the "we're smarter than you and the orange man is bad" show. He has one segment I'm very, very critical of where he says, "Don't listen to Fox News," or I'll be fair, he shows Fox News and says, tune out the spin and tune into us. He's certainly not as bad as Chuck Todd is. And I want to give some defense to Brian Stelter because he highlighted some quotes it's the dude from Washington Post, Marty Barron, who said, maybe it wasn't him, but it was Chuck Todd and this guy from the press saying that Donald Trump supporters, or they were reading a quote from somebody about Trump supporters believe in fairy tales like Noah's Ark. And a bunch of people got really mad at Brian Stelter saying he shouldn't have shared the information. That's not true. Stelter absolutely should have shared the information. And you should be grateful that he pointed out that these people on MSNBC were insulting your religion. So I can respect that. I certainly don't think Brian Stelter is the worst. I just think he's a biased actor, same as me, but doesn't admit it. So here's the thing. You watch Brian's show on CNN, and I'll tell you all this stuff as though he's right and he's smarter than everyone else. It's the opposite of what I kind of do. I say, I think I do a good job, but you better watch what Brian Stelter and David Pakman and other people have to say, because there's probably things I miss. It's kind of an inverted message. So while I can certainly respect what he does, I'm very critical of it because he's giving you a false sense of security. It's the most dangerous thing in media. But anyway, we'll read the story. And I want to be fair. I want to be honest about analytics. And doing so, I must point out, Fox News boasts best primetime ratings ever. Finishes on top of basic cable for fourth straight year. Did you know the Hallmark Channel beat CNN in ratings? Wow, primetime or otherwise. So let me do something for you. Let me explain to you the key demo, how it works, what's up with Brian Stelter's ratings. I'll tell you why I think this is, and I also want to tell you about some changes I'm going to be working through in the next year to actually try and solve for this problem, even though it may actually be bad for me. First, CNN and almost all cable TV ratings are on the decline in general, except apparently Fox News with their best primetime ratings ever. Daytime ratings, my understanding is, have been going down. I've covered this in the past. But see, what happens is, as the ratings collapse, these channels become more and more desperate to cling to a particular narrative. Now, I'll tell you this. It's one thing in my opinion, for me, to have a personal opinion and, particular disdain for a certain class of elite politicians. I'm very, very critical of the Democrats. My framing is often, very critical of them. But there are socialists who have a similar framing too. It's nothing to do with politics. I think the way I explain it to people is that, I grew up in a basically completely Democrat-controlled, city. And Republicans didn't play a role in any of the things I face. So now I see the Democratic Party, Joe Biden saying learn to code and all this stuff, and it's like anti-working class, anti-union. I feel like they're duplicitous. So it's nothing to do with my personal politics, but yeah, content devolves into kind of like an anti thing. So that's why I'll be making some change. I'll talk about this more at the end of the video. The problem for CNN, however, for Brian Stelter, is that his channel has devolved into the Orange Man Bad Show, but it's mostly about how, he's the reliable authoritative source when CNN peddled fake news and FBI talking points for 3 years and were disproven. So if you want to ask why the ratings are down for CNN, why Brian Stelter's ratings are rock bottom, and Fox News primetime are at record highs, I mean, you look no further than the Mueller report and the Horowitz report. You may get a bombastic, sensational view from Hannity, and I am very critical, and I've been very critical of Hannity, but you're still getting correct information, just a bit, bombastic, right? And it's kind of like, I think you need to balance your diet outside of Fox News, but at least they're not telling you fake nonsense. There have been some bad stories from Fox News, they've been retracted, but there's a consensus among left and right outside of the Democratic establishment that Rachel Maddow and MSNBC is cranking out trash. You guys got to turn on the Hill TV's Rising with Crystal Ball and Cigar and Jetty, because you've got a balance, you've got a progressive, you've got a conservative, and they're fair to people when they have them on and try to understand them. Not like what CNN is doing, and to an extent, not what Fox News is doing, but hey, at least Fox News is telling you what was really happening, right? So let's read this. Let me explain how these ratings work. They say CNN's beleaguered media show Reliable Sources with Brian Stelter hit an embarrassing new low on December 22nd, when it averaged only 85,000 viewers among a key age group. Stelter regularly touts the significance of the news demographic of adults aged 25 to 54, but the dismal performance marked his lowest viewership of 2019. Right now, I am doing some changes to my channel. There's going to be a new show. I think I'm going to do it. I've been saying I'm going to do things, but we'll do it. But I average about, just around 900,000 to 1 million viewers for my hour-and-a-half content every single day. Those people are all in the key demo, all of them. So it's shocking to me to see Brian Stelter's show only getting 85,000 when I'm getting like 10 times that. Granted, I do have 18 to 24 as well, but they're a smaller percentage. So it's around 75%, 70 or so percent of my viewers are 25 to 54. And that's, and so there is some overlap. So I think it's fair to say, because some people watch multiple videos per day, it's not most actually, it's absolutely not most. Most people will watch like 1.2 or so videos per day, so it seems fair to say that like 600 or so thousand of the people who watch my content every day are unique key demographic viewers. That's almost 10 times what CNN's Brian Stelter gets. So for whatever reason, the media likes to pretend like cable TV news matters. But I'm going to be fair, so you need to stick around. I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to show how it's actually not all candy canes and rainbows on my end. Brian Stelter isn't doing as bad as they might want to make it seem. They say the dismal performance from Stelter came as Fox News Media Buzz, a direct time slot competitor, thumped CNN's reliable sources across the board in 2019. Stelter's show averaged only 748,000 total viewers for the year prior to its 2019 finale on December 29th, while Media Buzz got 1.3 million over the same period. In addition, CNN's Sunday morning media show lost 12% of its viewers compared to 2018, while Media Buzz kept its audience with nearly identical year-to-year averages. I'll tell you this. It's because Stelter's show is lightly Orange Man bad. Look, I want to be fair, man. Stelter's show is not like the fervent end of the world like Rachel Maddow's is. Stelter at least sometimes has fair segments. It's just a bit biased, and he needs to recognize that he isn't the authority on these things. Just because he's on CNN, he acts like he's smarter than everybody. It's not a smart thing to do, okay? There's fake news across the board. Our media establishment is riddled with fake news. We know this because of Russiagate. We know this because of Spygate. The facts come out, okay? They try to act like everything Trump says is literal. Calm down. But he's not the worst. He's not the worst. There's been several times, maybe about 2 or 3 times per month, I will actually praise Brian Stelter and use him as a source when he gets things right. I want to make sure that's clear. And now I want to show you what is fair. What's fair is Fox News is getting the best primetime ratings, pointing out first, primetime is very different from Sunday morning, although, Fox News likes to boast that their Sunday morning show does better than Stelter. But come on, let's be real. This is CNN's Social Blade. CNN got 165 million views in the last 30 days, and their ratings are up 13%. Now, I'll tell you this. YouTube changed the algorithm to hurt my channel, and my ratings went down by a few percentage points. CNN dramatically helped Fox News more than anyone else because they're directing most independent commentary to Fox News. Even progressive Jimmy Dore, I kid you not, you look at this data. Actually, let me just pull it up. I got this graph right here. The Jimmy Dore show. This is tracking. When you watch a Jimmy Dore video, which is this white line right here, you are then sent to Fox News, which is this line right here. I guess you can't really see because it's cut off, but you can see it highlights Fox News. Most of the people who watch Jimmy Dore, I'm sorry, if you watch a Jimmy Dore video, he's a progressive, he's a Bernie supporter, you are more likely to be sent to Fox News. Okay, so Fox News is reaping the rewards of the media outrage. But I want to make sure this is clear. While CNN isn't reaping the biggest rewards, and we can make fun of them because their ratings are down and brag about how us on YouTube are doing so well, the reality is CNN is doing really well on YouTube. And it's because YouTube is propping them up, let's be honest. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if YouTube is propping them up. I mean, it's a serious problem. It's hurting independent commentary. But while we sit here and go like, haha, look at their ratings, they're down. And look, I get 800,000 views per day. What is CNN getting per day as a whole? 2 million. They're averaging 5.5 million views per day. Now, I think it's fair to point out CNN floods YouTube with like a stream of like 50 videos per day, and I do 6. So that plays a role in it. And they're also getting propped up by YouTube. But the fact is, they are going to get views. They are going to retain influence. Don't act like, everyone wants to gloat like, Brian Stelter's show is doing bad. Yeah, Brian Stelter's show is probably doing better than mine on YouTube. I'd be willing to bet it is. Actually, maybe not. Maybe that's not true. But CNN as a whole, because they flood the channel with clips, and then YouTube promotes it. And I've complained to YouTube about this, but they do not care. Here's what YouTube has done. They've quarantined political content. So you don't appear on the front page anymore. You barely appear in search. There was even a period where they removed most political content from search, and it was Steven Crowder who complained. It's all removed. And now, if you watch my content, I'd be willing to bet if you look at the sidebar right now, Fox News across the board, which means they have created an entropic system where it's hard for us to gain subscribers and we slowly bleed our subscribers to CNN and Fox News. So I'll tell you this, I know we're 10 minutes in. Subscribe, hit the notifications, and share this video. You may have noticed a lot of videos I say, I'm always like, make sure you share this video, and there's a reason why. YouTube can try and shut down the algorithm. And you know what, to an extent, I get it. There have been many instances where the algorithm fed a certain kind of content and YouTube changed it. It's not unique to politics, but they're doing it now, and it's going to hurt creators you know and like. If you share my videos and others, you overpower the algorithm because there's nothing more powerful than an individual sharing and recommending on their own. YouTube can say, we're going to show your video to 1,000 people, but if 1,000 people show it to their average of 300 friends on Facebook, you got 300,000 impressions. That's the power of sharing content you know and like. Now, I said I was going to be fair, so I'm not done. I think it's fair to point out CNN's getting them views on over on their YouTube, but Fox News is still destroying them. 215 million views in the last 30 days, and Fox is averaging 7 million views per day, destroying CNN. So let's be real. We got a changing media landscape. For the longest time, most of these news outlets are based in liberal cities, they're based in cities, and cities tend to be liberal. So they hire liberals, they have a liberal perspective, and they push a liberal message. Things is starting to change. People are leaving big cities. I got a story, maybe a story for in the next few days, but things are changing. They're changing a lot. And as, the Daily Wire, for instance, gains traction on Facebook, now one of the most prominent outlets. And they're mostly commentary. Fox News, also one of the most prominent outlets. Fox News, substantially, more views than CNN. As the world shifts into a digital landscape where you have an endless supply, an endless field of choices for what you can consume, things change. People watch CNN because CNN's kind of a default. But when you go on YouTube, you're more likely to get Fox News these days. And that means we're going to see a dramatic change in how, for one, Fox News produces content, but also in how people perceive the world. You may have noticed Fox News and even the Drudge Report have started becoming a bit more moderate, much to the chagrin of many conservatives, and Donald Trump himself tweeting, what's happening to Fox News? Why are they hiring Democrats? Why are they doing town halls with Bernie Sanders? It's because Fox News won. They know they won. It's because CNN is dying. What's really fascinating to me is that I grew up in a world where Fox News was hyper-partisan. Bill O'Reilly said insane things like, sun goes up, sun goes down. You can't explain that. I kid you not. Bill O'Reilly said that. And I'm sitting here like, what was the famous quote? We explained that 500 years ago. He's like, tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that. No. We did. Okay, whether you like Bill O'Reilly or not is besides the point. Forgive me if I'm criticizing a guy you like watching, but I just think the guy's, he's a relic of an archaic age. And he didn't understand how, the moon worked. Fine. I was one of those people laughing Fox News for being absurd and nonsensical. Today, Fox News is the only channel that's actually been correct. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Russiagate, Spygate, Horowitz Report, Trump election, they're bombastic, they're partisan, but man, you look at CNN and you're drowning in insane trash. They're telling you things that aren't true. MSNBC is substantially worse. Everything's inverted. How is Fox News more likely to be correct these days? And it's a fact. I love how people are like, take the red pill. No, you don't get it. It's not about anyone taking a red pill. I'm exactly where I've always been. But Fox News did a town hall with Bernie Sanders. Okay, and the ratings were through the roof. They hired Donna Brazile, a Democrat. Fox News is becoming the actual news platform. It's crazy. And there are still so many people who refuse to accept it. They're like, Fox News is fake. Have you watched it? Have you fact-checked it? Well, they certainly have their problems, and they've certainly said crazy things, even as of recent. CNN has become mind-numbing trash, and MSNBC is substantially worse. What's the worst we got from Fox News? Sean Hannity talking about Seth Rich, saying it needs to be investigated? What's the worst we got from Rachel Maddow? Russia could shut off the power in Fargo in winter and people will freeze to death. Whoa! And then bringing on that guy, Jonathan Chait, who's like, Trump may be a Russian asset going back to 1987. That's nuts. It's nuts. I'm sorry. It's possible. Conspiracies might happen sometimes, but I love how NBC tried smearing me as a conspiracy theorist for me saying they're nuts. That's the game that's being played. So now we can see what's going to happen. I'll tell you this. YouTube has absolutely been propping up Fox News. I don't know why, but man, they are. That's going to be good news for the president. Even if he's critical of Fox News, even if he thinks, they're becoming too lefty or too moderate, it doesn't matter. Fox News is substantially more pro-Trump than any of these other news outlets. These other news outlets will stop at nothing to create the orange man bad narrative and push it as hard as possible. So think about what happens in the coming years. YouTube, in response to the outrage from these woke journalists from companies that are laying people off and collapsing, creates an algorithm which starts pushing you guys who watch my content to Fox News, even Jimmy Dore. Like, dude, Jimmy's awesome, by the way, but he's such a far lefty. And more power to him. He's a good dude. I have no problem if you're a socialist, if you're a communist, as long as you're an honest person, you talk about what you believe and why you believe it. I think you're wrong. I think you're allowed to be wrong, though. And I think if you're a good person with having good conversation and calling out the BS where it is, I think we're in good company. So I can disagree with Jimmy Dore on a lot of political issues, but he's fair, he's honest, and he calls out the BS. So what is the response? Send all of his Bernie-loving progressives over to Fox News. So think about what that means. There was a meme that went around where some guy was pretending he said, my dad asked me to fix his Facebook, so I unfollow all the Trump, pages and follow the Bernie pages. 2 weeks later, he's like, I'm going to give Bernie Sanders a chance. Yeah, and then everyone clapped. No, it didn't really happen. What is happening is, in response to woke outrage, for whatever reason, maybe it's because YouTube wanted a solution, and YouTube also wants the safer bet. They don't want Warren in. If Warren gets in, she's going to break up all these tech companies. So YouTube's just promote Fox News. And there it is. Anyway, this bell keeps ringing. It's just outside the street. You probably heard it several times in the past couple weeks, but I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment will be at youtube.com/Timcast at 4 p.m. I've got a new schedule coming. Big changes next year. You know what? We'll fight through the bell and I'll tell you what's going on. Due to algorithmic changes, I did mention this before, but now you're going to hear it because we're talking about media. Due to algorithmic changes, particularly about what's going on with Fox News, it doesn't make sense for me to run one segment on my main channel and multiple segments on my second channel. I'm going to probably move all of my segments to my main channel starting next year and do a new show on this channel, which will likely be like an 8 p.m. live stream podcast, more fan interaction, more comment interaction, and I'm going to probably hire someone to do guest bookings. And I want it to be more of a semi-political general interest show, which means we're going to be talking about a wide range of topics. It might have to do with... I'm thinking of having it be structured in two ways. We talk about news, but conclusive stories and unconclusive stories. So the known and the unknown. The known being hey, here's what I can tell you is actually happening. And the unknown can be stuff like, this is a really weird story. There's a story out of Oregon that I never covered because I'm saving it, about animals, bulls, being exsanguinated, all their blood removed, and they were dropped from a great height. It was presumed, and this is part of the Chupacabra legend. So this is a legitimate news story. It happened. And that would be a really interesting segment to talk about the unknown, things we can't prove, we don't know what's happening, and we speculate. So I've been planning this for a while. The studio is going to be done in the next couple of weeks or so, and I think I'm going to do an entirely new show on this channel. And then what I'll do is, it'll probably be an hour or two long, probably with a co-host, probably regularly scheduled guests, where we'll talk about some of their expertise and some of the mainstream news topics, then break it up into segments. So there will be 3 hours of content from me every day starting in the new year. We'll see what happens, but that's the plan for now. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast.